Your Excellency, Bishop Ernesto, I would like to have a word with you. Ban Domagoji, I am forever at your service. What would you like to discuss? It pertains to a young knight in my retinue, Nikola. Do you know him? He is Bosnian, no? From the river people? I think we've spoken once or twice. Good. The entire court is talking about his bravery during the recent border skirmishes. Many are saying I should choose him to oversee the colony of Zavrsje. He was born there, and he has proven an excellent commander. No, I do not believe there would be any objection. His quaint, old-fashioned rite is certainly unusual, but he attends the Mass without objection. It may be that your generosity will, in time, help him to see St. Peter's truth. Good, good. Then I shall have his elevation arranged in earnest. Hello and welcome, connoisseurs of Crusader Kings 3, friends of the channel, and newcomers alike. We're here for the first time with the new game, and I thought I would do my game setup for this one, because I never include it. And why not include it? This time we're doing a little bit of a unique setup. I am going to be playing Krstjani, Bosnia. I think it would be fun for a short playthrough. I think I might actually spend the next couple of months before the next expansion doing a couple of short playthroughs of things that I like, where I have a specific, straightforward goal. We RP our way to that goal, we build a nice, tight family unit, and then when the goal is done, we stop and we start something new, just as a change. Eventually we will go back to the longer series format, probably either at the new expansion or if there's time just before it, depending on how many of these I actually do. But here we go. So we're going to play as any ruler. Now, I don't want to create a ruler for this. I actually want to find someone, and then once I find someone I like, I'm going to grant them a county. So let's just see where we're at. We're going to be looking for, Bosnian. There we go. Basically, I am looking for, this guy's actually almost perfectly what I want. The only problem is he might be too old, and I need to know where he is. So he is a mercenary captain. That's no good. That is no good. I could build the character, but I think it would be fun to actually just play something that the game presents with me. I'm looking for somebody with a martial education who actually exists. So there's a few people here with decent levels of martial. So let's see if any of them are in the area we want. The county we're giving ourselves is this one. So we're going to need to find a Bosnian person who is in Ban of Domagoji's territory, or at very least in the territory of one of his vassals, because that's the only kind of person he is going to be able to grant territory to. So just filtering this for his realm, and Bosnian. Oh, Nikola, you actually look pretty good. 3 martial, that's what we want. Interesting, interesting. Well, you are an oddball. You're compassionate, zealous, and arbitrary. Okay. And we're going to grant this guy this county. He's got that weird hair that I pointed out on the end of the last series, which is an interesting position to be in. And now we're going to save this, and I'm just going to do some magic with save editing to turn this into the game we want it to. So I will be right back. So I was thinking, maybe I don't skip this. Maybe I actually do show this. I am almost ready with my save editing video. It is cut up into bits now, and I just need to decide if I'm going to give it a fresh voiceover and exactly how to do transitions in it and make it presentable. But what I thought I would do for this new series was just show you some of the save editing for the start. Why not, right? This is stuff that people might find useful. I may also cut this out and put it as a short video in the save editing playlist once I'm ready. So what we're going to be covering here today is how to turn a character into your character. This is particularly useful if you want to preserve the ability to have achievements in a game where you start with a character you landed, which, lo and behold, is exactly what we've done today. A couple of things to note about this. One, landed characters get nothing when they start because they're not intended to be players, right? Since it's not intended that you're going to play a landed character, they're going to have 0, 0, 0 for money, prestige, and piety. So we're going to find a character who is a single county duke nearby, single county count nearby, and give ourselves their starting information for piety, gold, and prestige, just because we really shouldn't be starting with nothing. If this was a regular game start, we would have something in it. It's too much of a disadvantage, I think, to start with nothing. I haven't even introduced you to Paradox Unlimiter yet. Paradox Unlimiter is a piece of software that is generally designed to archive saves for CK3, but it also has a really useful feature, which is that it can open a save for editing and present it in a really concise format that allows you to open sections of the file instead of having to search through the whole file to do your edits. I'll just show you. It's best to just show you. So we push that button, the pencil. It's always the pencil is editing, and we have this. This game state list is every category within the save file, and inside these categories are variables, data points, integers. Databases inside these sections are called complex types, and basically it's setting the whole thing up so we can find exactly what it is that we want much more easily than we could if we had to just search a gigantic open file. It also makes it harder for you to make mistakes. Most things that are just integers or variables can be anything that can't be. You can use the pencil again to open up the appropriate section of the file, which will open up your notepad and show you the thing you're looking for. So we need to do two quick edits to make this game ready to start. The first quick edit is we need to make our player character the character of the save, which they currently are not. So we're going to go to the actual player character's landed data. We're going to go through their vassal contracts, and since we just landed ourselves, we will be the last one. We're going to use this jump to button, which will take us to this vassal contract, and then we're going to go to the vassal entry in the vassal contract and copy it because that's us. We'll verify it's us. Yes, we are Nikola, which is great. And then we will jump to all player characters. So we need to change currently played to this. Our number, our index point. So the game knows that we are the character being currently played. Then we have to go to game state, and we need to change another variable, which is played characters. Let's put that in there. And there we go. This save will now transition smoothly over to our character as the saves player. Our character is the saves player character. The other thing we want to do is we want to give ourselves some basic starting currencies because we would never start with none. Doesn't make any sense for us to start with none. I think we will leave our... Well, basically, we're going to give ourselves the same amount of gold that a different duke right next to us has. So this guy's name is Gajin. He's just south of us. Should look up under living. If we want to find a specific character when more than one person has the name, we just use their birthday. So I'm going to look over to my left, my second monitor, see the CK3 screen, and his birthday is July 20th, 848. We just check out these little summaries here. There he is right there. He's number one on the list, so we can now look at him. And we want to open up his alive data section because that's where gold, piety, and prestige live. So we're going to open up his alive data. Like this. You can see it's now open in Notepad. And then we're going to jump to the player character, and we're going to open up their alive data. If you look down here, you can see we have income but no gold. We have accumulated piety but no piety. And we have accumulated prestige but no prestige. So we're just going to exactly copy what this guy has. taking approximate data from an existing leader that's similar to you is a great way to get starting mana levels for these different stats. Go to currency here. I feel like the 450 prestige might be too high. So we'll make it 250 prestige. We can just actually do that with a manual edit because we put it in the wrong place anyway. So we'll just turn this up to 250. Seems like reasonable starting numbers. So we'll save the file in Notepad. We'll push it into the file that we're editing. And then we can just close both of these because leaving them open just makes it confusing. And that should be it. There is one more thing we could do. We probably started with a couple of units of basic men-at-arms. They're most likely skirmishers. I think starting with 2 skirmishers is probably fair for this character. And I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to end up starting with because they generate, when you land a character, they generate usually a very small amount of men-at-arms. The normal that I see a lot is 2 skirmishers, so we'll just assume they've given him enough men-at-arms and save it. So we go up to here to the top of the file, we file save, wait for it to save, close it, and then we push this little button here, which is export to Crusader Kings 3, and that will drop it in our save directory, and we are now ready to play. Nice. All right, so Ban of Croatia. Now this stuff doesn't change because this is metadata. It's like the header of the file, so it doesn't change when you do a save edit because it doesn't. Because this information is unimportant. It's just how they give you this picture, so it stays the same until you load it. Once you load it, though, it's going to go to the place it's supposed to go, assuming that you made the edits properly and you change the 2 locations where there is a variable for the current player, that being in all player characters and player character. It's not going to crash because we made so few tiny edits that we would have had to badly screw up for it to crash at this point. I've been thinking for a while that when I do these custom games that I should just include it in the first episode. There's no reason not to, and it is another way to present different ways of save editing. And doing it this way means that when I do the big save edit videos, I can cut those little sections out that are like small things that don't require a whole video, like switching who the character in the save is. Now, just to demonstrate, when we come up, it's going to say we can't do achievements. That's not true. We're going to save the game so that it changes to a proper save so that the metadata matches. And after we change to the metadata matching save, we will load the one where the metadata matches, and it will be back to achievement allowed. So that's it. That's how you change a player character to anybody you want to without losing the ability to do achievements. It is an extraordinarily useful, simple save edit, so I thought I would include it here. I mean, why not, right? In the description below, there will be a link to how you can get Paradox Unlimiter. We'll also put it as the pinned content comment. You can both get it from the Steam Workshop and from its GitHub, whichever one you prefer. And here we are, back in game. We check our screen. You can see achievements are back, so we can get achievements now. We have the numbers we inputted here, which is good. We are in charge of ourselves. We're a rough terrain expert. That's all the stuff that was there originally. And that's it. We're actually ready to play. So the game has generated for us, just as I predicted, 2 light skirmishers. Let's just station those right now so we don't forget to do it later. We are ready to start. Now, I'm going to spend the first episode here a little differently from usual since I decided to spend some time on including the save edit part. I'm going to go over the whole process here. When I was thinking about playing this character, it was suggested in the comments section. Thank you very much. It was a great idea. I wanted to figure out a way to play it that didn't feel like I was giving myself too much of an advantage. It's a nice little game theme, We're most likely going to play up until the point where we can found the Kingdom of Bosnia, which I think is interesting. We're not going to do any of the other things that they can do. I mean, this could be interesting. Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria, Wallachia, Moldavia, and Bosnia. So we could do this, and I actually was thinking it might be fun to do this, but I don't want to spend too long on this because there's a second game that I want to play before we get the next thing done. I want to try to make these two intermediary series that I have in mind quick compared to usual series. We're going to stay in depth and we're going to try to roleplay, play our characters and be deeply interested, but we're also going to try to make them shorter. I've noticed that the longer you play for, the harder it is to roleplay because the more distracted I get from the starting point, and I feel like putting more time into the game, keeping it shorter, spending more time between episodes, caring more about the characters will really help. So that's what we got here. That's what the plan is, at least. So we might go as far as uniting the South Slavs. We also have Unite the Slavs in general. That would be wild, but that is definitely not a goal we're going for. That would be insane, though. I find myself feeling like this goal would be a great goal for a longer term game, and maybe if we really enjoy this series and we like the dynasty that comes from it, we'll come back and we'll do more of that stuff later, right? Just because I put something aside doesn't mean it's gone forever. We are in a unusual start. Our culture is still Christian during most of the timeline that CK3 takes place in. We Bosnians follow an older version of Christianity called Krstjani, I think. It's a very interesting little faith. We have a faith that doesn't really have a lot of people in it, and we have a culture that doesn't have a lot of people in it. That is a bit of a problem at the beginning, especially since, even though I've probably never mentioned it in any video before, I always play with low diplomatic range. It means we're gonna have a hard time finding people. I mean, not so much here because literally every Bosnian is in one of these places here right now, but still, could be a bit of a problem. We, at least as a landed person, will be able to find a wife pretty easily because because Catholicism and Orthodoxy consider us to be astray, and we consider them to be righteous. So that should make things a little easier for us in that direction. Looking at our character here, I think that we are very much like a devoted, traditional Christian, you know? We're compassionate and zealous. So we really care about saving souls. And we really care about the suffering that's caused to people in the world. That being said, we are martial by nature. We're not that good with people. And we're absolutely terrible at managing our domain. Like, we are atrociously bad at it. You couldn't possibly be worse than us at it. And we're arbitrary, which means we tend to just make rash, sudden decisions. Okay. That gives us a starting position, I think. I feel like we served as a commander for the Ban, and that he appreciated our service enough that, you know, maybe we were that war hero event. You know, the war hero event where your liege goes to war, and one of the knights, because he used to serve him as a knight before I upgraded him, right? One of the knights did so good that you get that event where it's like, you should give this guy a reward. I mean, I know he's only a duke, so he doesn't get court events, but it's still cool. And he decided to do the thing that a player character almost never does, which is actually grant us the land. Which is why we're here. So we owe him a great deal. But when you look at our culture, you get a strong impression of the kind of mentality we have, right? First of all, we're isolationists. We want to preserve our people, and we want to form a proper homeland for our people, and maybe even expand a little beyond that, but we don't want to be bothered by other people. We're not just religiously isolationist, though. We are also absolutely culturally isolationist too, right? Our diplomatic range is super, super low. We do not care what's happening in faraway places at all. Doesn't mean anything to us. We also have a problem marrying people from other cultures, which is going to be a bit of a difficulty for us. It's going to downgrade all of our potential marriages. We might have a hard time finding someone to marry who isn't, I don't think we'll find anybody who's above Baron level. We have mendicant mystics, which means people of our faith wander about and basically give us advice and about whether or not we're doing good or bad. Increases our travel speed and gives us a lot more access to the wise man trait. And of course we have monastic communities. It means temperate is a good trait for our children and for ourselves, and the monk trait gives additional bonuses. We can also make our children monks more often. I think that's really cool. We are communal, which means we care about other people of our culture and we care about community bonds. So I think we're a compassionate person whose compassion, unlike most of the people of his culture, defines him a bit more and reaches somewhat beyond the edges of his borders and his people, but we keep this inside for the most part, right? Inside. Our main goal is to create a homeland for our people, because the recent changes in the region have pretty much left us without anyone to represent us. We need to do something about that. That being said, we're actually a very young... I don't think that's right. I think it's the opposite. We are a very young culture. We're a culture that spontaneously emerged, I think, from the people of the area. If we look at our cultural origin, at least from CK3, remember, we're using CK3 as the basis, not necessarily real life. It is a culture, right? It is a hybrid culture that formed between Croatian and Serbian in the year 800. So our culture is only 67 years old, meaning we are very young. Most likely we are, because we have no leaders, we're not a culture that was formed or that was pushed towards. We're like a spontaneous unification of the cultures of the area, right? Because if we look at the cultures around us, we are literally smashed between Croatian and Serbian cultural areas. So Bosnia and the Bosnian people is named for the River Bosna, and it feels like, at least from the CK3 standpoint, we are a recent culture that's sort of originated with the people mixing along that river. We are probably the first person who considers themselves to be ethnically Bosnian, who's really made themselves known to the people in power. Now, this is a really good thing for our people, right? There are a lot of non-Christians around us, right? There's a lot of Prada around us, if I remember correctly. Pravada, yeah. The Slavic faith, which means we have area around us to carve out a homeland without having to conflict too much with existing Christian leaders, right? If we look at the main goal of this, which is going to be, as I said before, I think I mentioned it already, found the Kingdom of Bosnia, we can just get an idea of how much of what we need. For example, we can form almost all of these duchies without ever going to war with a fellow Christian. Upper Bosnia will be hardest because we'll have to get high legitimacy to form it with only 50%, but that's not impossible. The bottom one here we can form almost immediately, and Lower Bosnia is held nearly completely by pagans, which basically to us is free real estate, right? Am I right? Pagans, free real estate? Yeah, that's it. Most of the places where our culture has developed, our county, 2 counties that are also inside of Croatia, and then 2 counties that are inside of this domain. think he's a duke. Yeah, this Pravada Duke here, this Serbian Pravada Duke. There's a lot of space for us to grow up into here, I think. And I think there's a lot to be said about this start. I really, really like this start. Before I started this episode and made the decision that I was going to just talk through most of the first episode, I really just enjoyed this start. As soon as I got the idea of raising up a knight from the Bon's territory, I started to really immediately fall in love with this thing. There is a lot for us to do. We're a young man. You know, we probably won't succeed at all of our goals in one generation, but that's fine, right? That's fine. We just really have a great compassion for our people and our new, young cultural identity, and we just want it to flourish. And for it to flourish, we're going to have to take advantage of the fact that we excelled as a knight. Yeah, it's a little unlikely that we'd have excelled as a knight with only a 9 prowess. And I think if I did a deeper save edit in this game, I probably would have boosted my prowess to match the backstory more, but I'm not going to do that in this case. I think it's fine for us to start where we are. It's a reasonable backstory, and it's fun, it's a good idea. We were a standout knight during a war, maybe a civil war, maybe a border dispute, and the Ban decided to grant us territory in the part of his Banate that is already identifying itself with our new culture. 67 years isn't a long time. Just a couple of generations, and there's not much sign that any of the people considering themselves to be part of this culture were nobles. There's not a single character of the Bosnian culture who has a lineage. We are like the origin lineage in this, at least in this game, we are the origin lineage. We are the first Bosnian dynasty. So another thing we're going to have to do during the gameplay is we're going to have to build and help to flourish other Bosnian dynasties, which I think is great. I love that. And we're going to have to do a lot of legitimizing marriages, which is to say we're going to have to marry our people that we land. We're going to have to marry them to foreign nobility to validate our claims of nobility, I think. Yeah. See, I just thought it would be fun if this one time I did all the stuff that I do in preparation to game just in the game. And then we'll end up the rest of this episode just putting together all of our people, looking at what we've got available to us. We have an adequate chancellor in Kulin. We have a relatively good steward. There's one landed character, this mayor. Now he is Croatian and Catholic. If he converts, he's not going to. If he would have converted, we probably would have kept him, but instead I think once we're probably going to just use our starting prestige to put us on Crown Authority 2. And immediately tell him that he should return to Croatia. He can find a life for himself in Lika or Pest. You know? Not here. Not here. Okay, so you are a decent marshal and we have no spy master. Okay. So how old are you, Erskimir? You are sterile. You are not a good choice. We're not a good choice to give land to. So I think it's going to be Radek, which is good by me. You know. By the way, there's going to be no attempt in this first episode to pronounce any of these names properly, because in order to even pronounce them to the slight degree of properness that I usually do, requires an afternoon of time, and as you see from this episode, I decided to record the setup, which is a little different from usual, so I apologize for the horribly bad names. I'll try to improve them over the course of the series. Let's grant him the barony. Good, so he can be the Baron, which makes it so that our Baron is on our council. So we don't have to worry about the fact that he is that we have a powerful vassal on the council. And a spy master. Let's just do a little search for Bosnian culture people, and let's do top realm, because I don't think there's... Let's just do all. So all the Bosnians in the world. The very, very best Bosnian is her. I guess we put a sway on her, and we put someone in here temporarily. We do have to try to get people to come in, right? Now let's go back to our list of all Bosnians in the world. Let's look at by prowess. Can we arrange a marriage for him? He will not do it. Why not? Oh yeah. Never mind. Never mind. We're not going to marry anybody from that guy's court. But maybe this guy. This guy is probably theoretically possible. Minus 25. Alright, well let's see who the ladies can marry. Who can you marry? Because we definitely need you to marry people who will help us out. Prowess. My spy master. We got this guy who's not here and this guy. So this guy is a better diplomat than I have, but I'm not going to remove my diplomat after I just put him in his position. And this guy is really not that great. But I do need to marry him off, and I do need to drag people to my court. So we will do this matrilineal marriage. And then we'll try to get the other girl to find a spouse who isn't from our court. Nope, she has no one available who isn't from our court. That's fine. She can marry our chancellor, maybe? She's 21? Yeah, she can marry the chancellor. That's fine. So we have a decent court set up. Hopefully we can eventually convince that guy to come over. That woman to come over and be our spy master. We are a strategist with our natural picks. That's fine. I'm perfectly happy with this. We have hit and run, which is good for our skirmishers. Not bad at all. Archer, spearmen, toughness, strategy focus here. You know, I'm gonna leave this for now. I may reset once next episode. I usually give myself one reset when I do a random character. I think we start with strategy focus because we're not... the control always feels better to me. And maybe the prowess. The attraction opinion could also help us with a marriage. Strategy focus. I think we do strategy focus. I mean, we could find a really good marriage if we do an elope. I'm going to do strategy focus. I think it's for the best. I think that's what will help us the most at the start. Okay. I'm going to put you on trained commanders. Guess we're going to develop capital. We can't declare war on him immediately, so we will fabricate a claim, and we should keep our money for the claim fabrication, I think. Let's do a court physician, the minimum position we need. Our bishop is poor. It's got to be him, though. There's nobody else, so it's got to be him. We don't need a court tutor till we have a child. That could be a ways away. And we don't need a caravan master till we decide to go on a trip, which could also be a little bit away. So that's, I think, our starting setup. Look at that. We have a brand new Nikola of Zavrsje. No idea how to pronounce that, but we'll learn. And I think we're ready to start. In the same way that we are ready to start, I think we're ready to finish it. I know that's a very different first episode than what I usually do, but I think it's the right thing to do. Get people more involved in the actual beginning process of setting up the character and beginning the game, and show a little bit of my process both at the beginning in the save edit and the setup, and in the middle in thinking through what the character is going to be about and grounding them into the game. Thank you for watching, and I hope you join me for this series. I think it's going to be good. And goodbye for now.